The victor's crown. The gates of the capital opened like jaws swallowing Rosen whole. He rode at the head of the procession, armor dented and darkened with the smoke of 100 campfires. The war was over. 3 years of blood and iron, and they'd won. Behind him, what remained of his battalion marched with heads high despite their exhaustion. The crowds roared his name. Rosen! Rosen! Flowers rained down on the cobblestones. Children darted between the horses' legs, waving ribbons in the kingdom's colors. Rosen kept his eyes forward. Victory felt hollow when he'd left so many brothers in unmarked graves. The palace loomed ahead, its white towers piercing the autumn sky. He'd been summoned directly to the throne room, an honor reserved for the greatest heroes. His chest should have swelled with pride. Instead, something cold settled in his stomach. The throne room's vaulted ceiling seemed to press down on him as he knelt before Queen Marisel. She sat draped in crimson velvet, her crown catching the light from 100 candles. "Rise, Commander Rosen." He stood, aware of the courtiers lining the walls, their silk and jewels a stark contrast to his travel-stained uniform. "Your service has been exemplary," the queen said, her voice carrying through the chamber. "The kingdom owes you a debt that cannot be repaid in gold alone." Here it comes, Rosen thought. A title. Land. Perhaps command of the royal guard. "Therefore, it is my pleasure to announce your betrothal to Lord Caelan Veyrich of the Northern Estate." The words didn't make sense at first. Rosen blinked. "Your Majesty?" "Lord Veyrich has been without a companion since his family's passing. You have served the crown with your sword. Now you shall serve it with this union. The North needs stability, and you need a home." The courtiers murmured approvingly. Rosen's mind reeled. I am a soldier, Your Majesty." "Not. You are whatever your queen requires you to be." Her tone remained pleasant, but her eyes were ice. "Or do you refuse this honor?" Refusal meant disgrace. Exile, perhaps. Everything he'd bled for turned to ash. Rosen's jaw tightened. He dropped to one knee again. "I live to serve, Your Majesty." "Excellent. The carriage departs at dawn." The estate of shadows. The carriage rattled north for 3 days. Rosen sat alone, watching forests give way to hills, then to the stark beauty of the northern moors. He'd been given no information about Lord Veyrich beyond his name and estate. Was he old? Young? Kind? The Queen's proclamation had been so sudden, so absolute. Sleep came in fragments. He dreamed of battlefields, but instead of enemies, he faced faceless nobles with judging eyes. On the 3rd evening, the carriage turned onto a private road lined with ancient oaks. Through the trees, Rosen glimpsed a manor house of grey stone, elegant but austere. Lights burned in only a few windows. The carriage stopped. A servant in dark livery opened the door without a word. Rosen stepped out into the chill air. His breath misted. No greeting party waited, only a tall man with silver threading his black hair, standing at the top of the entrance stairs. "Commander Rosen." The man's bow was precise. "I am Garrett, head of the household. Lord Veyrich has been delayed on business in the Eastern Holdings. He sends his regrets." Of course. Even his future husband couldn't be bothered to greet him. "When will he return?" Rosen asked. "Uncertain. Days, perhaps weeks." Garrett's expression revealed nothing. "In the meantime, we shall see to your comfort. Dr. Finch will examine you, a formality Her Majesty requires of all residents." Rosen followed Garrett inside. The manor was beautiful in a cold way, high ceilings, dark wood, tapestries depicting winter landscapes. Everything immaculate. Everything silent. His room was in the west wing. Large, well-appointed, with a view of the gardens. A cage dressed as luxury. Dr. Finch arrived within the hour, a thin man with spectacles and gentle hands. He checked Rosen's war injuries with professional efficiency. "The shoulder wound has healed well," Finch murmured, probing the scar tissue. But you favor your left leg. Old break? Arrow, 2 years back. I'll prepare a salve. Lord Veyrich values the health of his household. Lord Veyrich values. Lord Veyrich requires. Lord Veyrich expects. Rosen heard the man's name constantly but never met him. Days blurred together. He woke, ate breakfast in the vast dining room alone, walked the grounds under Garrett's watchful gaze. The servants were polite but distant. He was a curiosity. The war hero turned, what? Bride? Companion? Prisoner? At night, he stood at his window and stared at the dark moors, wondering if he could simply walk away. But where would he go? Dishonored, nameless, with nothing but the clothes on his back? On the 7th day, Garrett appeared at breakfast. Lord Veyrich returns this evening. Rosen's appetite vanished. The Lord's return. Caelan Veyrich arrived like a winter storm. Rosen heard the commotion from his room, horses, shouting servants, the clatter of trunks being unloaded. He dressed carefully in the fine clothes that had been provided, feeling ridiculous in silk when he belonged in leather and steel. Garrett summoned him to the drawing room. Lord Veyrich stood by the fireplace, still in his riding coat, dark hair windswept. He was younger than Rosen expected, perhaps 30, with sharp features and eyes like flint. Handsome in a severe way. Commander Rosen. His voice was cultured, cold. I trust your accommodations have been satisfactory. Yes, my lord. Rosen bowed, hating the formality. Good. We should establish expectations immediately. Caelan poured himself wine, didn't offer Rosen any. This arrangement was not my choice any more than it was yours. Her Majesty decided we should be useful to each other. I require a consort to maintain my standing at court. You require a position now that the war has ended. It's transactional. I expect discretion, civility, and obedience to the household's routines. Obedience. Rosen's hands clenched. I am not a servant, my lord. No. You're a decoration. Caelan's eyes raked over him. The Queen's little war trophy, polished and placed on my shelf. Don't mistake this for anything more meaningful. Heat flooded Rosen's face. 3 years of hell, and this was his reward? I have bled for this kingdom. And I have managed its finances, negotiated its treaties, kept its northern border stable through diplomacy you couldn't begin to understand. We both serve, Commander. Yours is simply louder. Caelan set down his glass. Dinner is at 7. Don't be late. He swept from the room, leaving Rosen trembling with fury. The breaking point. The next morning, Caelan was gone before Rosen woke. He found a note on the pillow, written in elegant script, business in the village. Don't wait for dinner. And so the pattern established itself. Nights of desperate intensity, mornings of cold absence. Caelan touched him like he was starving but spoke to him like a stranger. During the day, they moved through the manor like ghosts haunting separate wings. Rosen told himself it was enough. That physical release was better than nothing. But each dismissal carved deeper. He tried to be useful, offered to review the estate's defenses, train the household guard. Garrett politely declined on Lord Veyrich's behalf. Rosen was decoration, just as Caelan had said. Beautiful and useless. On the 12th night, Rosen waited in the drawing room, determined to force a real conversation. When Caelan finally appeared near midnight, Rosen stood. We need to talk. I'm tired, Commander. I'm not, Rosen's frustration exploded. Stop calling me that. I have a name. We share a bed, but you won't even. The window shattered. Rosen reacted on instinct, throwing himself at Caelan as the crossbow bolt whistled through the space where his head had been. They hit the floor hard. Another bolt embedded itself in the wall. Stay down. Rosen rolled, grabbing a poker from the fireplace. His old training kicked in, assess, react, protect. He could see the shooter's silhouette in the garden. One assailant, possibly more. Caelan was shouting for guards. Rosen didn't wait. He vaulted through the broken window, ignoring the glass slicing his arm, and sprinted across the lawn. The breaking point. The next morning, Caelan was gone before Rosen woke. He found a note on the pillow, written in elegant script, "Business in the village. Don't wait for dinner." And so the pattern established itself. Nights of desperate intensity, mornings of cold absence. Caelan touched him like he was starving but spoke to him like a stranger. During the day, they moved through the manor like ghosts haunting separate wings. Rosen told himself it was enough. That physical release was better than nothing. But each dismissal carved deeper. He tried to be useful, offered to review the estate's defenses, train the household guard. Garrett politely declined on Lord Veyrich's behalf. Rosen was decoration, just as Caelan had said. Beautiful and useless. On the 12th night, Rosen waited in the drawing room, determined to force a real conversation. When Caelan finally appeared near midnight, Rosen stood. "We need to talk." "I'm tired, Commander." "I'm not," Rosen's frustration exploded. "Stop calling me that. I have a name. We share a bed, but you won't even." The window shattered. Rosen reacted on instinct, throwing himself at Caelan as the crossbow bolt whistled through the space where his head had been. They hit the floor hard. Another bolt embedded itself in the wall. "Stay down." Rosen rolled, grabbing a poker from the fireplace. His old training kicked in: assess, react, protect. He could see the shooter's silhouette in the garden. One assailant, possibly more. Caelan was shouting for guards. Rosen didn't wait. He vaulted through the broken window, ignoring the glass slicing his arm, and sprinted across the lawn. The Crown's blessing. 6 weeks later, Rosen stood in the palace chapel, heart thundering. He wore formal dress, deep blue velvet, the colors of House Veyrich embroidered in silver thread. Beside him, Caelan looked regal in black and silver, but his hand trembled slightly when it brushed Rosen's. The chapel was full. Northern lords, court officials, curious nobility all crammed into the pews. At the front, on a throne brought in specifically for the occasion, Queen Marisel watched with satisfaction. The priest droned through the ceremonial words. Rosen barely heard them. He was too aware of Caelan's presence, the weight of what they were about to promise. When it came time for the vows, Caelan turned to face him fully. "I vow to honor you," Caelan said, voice steady. "Not as a decoration or a duty, but as my partner. My equal. My choice." His eyes glistened. "You gave me more than obedience, Rosen. You gave me courage." Rosen's throat tightened. "I vow to stand beside you. To protect not just your life, but your heart. To build something real from the ashes of what we were forced into." He smiled. "You taught me that duty and love aren't enemies. They're the same thing, when you find the right person." The priest bound their hands with silk ribbon. "By the Crown's authority, I pronounce you bonded in law and love." They knelt together before the Queen. Marisel descended from her throne, placing a hand on each of their heads. "Rise, Lord Veyrich and Lord Consort Rosen," she said, and there was genuine warmth in her voice. "You have both served the Crown admirably. May you serve each other with equal devotion." As they stood, Caelan pulled Rosen into a kiss that made the crowd gasp and then cheer. Rosen didn't care about propriety anymore. He wrapped his arms around his husband, and kissed him back with everything he had. Later, at the wedding feast, Caelan leaned close. "Ready to go home?" Rosen looked around at the glittering court, the false smiles and political maneuvering, and thought of the quiet manor in the north. Their manor. Their life. More than ready. They slipped away before the dancing ended, stealing into a carriage bound north. As the palace lights faded behind them, Rosen rested his head on Caelan's shoulder. "Do you think she planned this all along?" he asked. "Knew we'd fall?" Caelan pressed a kiss to his temple. "Probably. Marisel is terrifyingly clever. Should I be grateful or furious? Both. Always both. Caelan laced their fingers together. But mostly grateful. I know I am. The carriage rolled through the night, carrying them home. The journey of Lord Consort Rosen and Lord Veyrich has only just begun. Their newfound stability in the north is fragile, and the machinations of Queen Marisel, and the shadowy forces Caelan contends with, will not wait long. This short narrative served as a prologue to a far grander tale. We invite you to join us as the full story unfolds in the upcoming serialized novel, The Knight's Burden. The full novel will delve deeper into the political intrigue of the Northern Alliance, Rosen's struggle to find his place as a consort, and the deepening, complicated love between the two men. Don't miss a moment of the action. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for all official announcements, serialized chapters, character reveals, and exclusive content related to the novel. Turn on notifications so you are the first to know when Season 2, The Northern Alliance begins. Thank you for reading the first arc. The war may be over, but the burden remains.